the power steering.
Power steering. It's fantastic. All the power I need right here.
Yeah.
It is fun.
Let's leave everything and go traveling. See what tomorrow brings. It's only a choice away. Let's back up and leave today. Let's see what tomorrow brings.
Welcome back to the Arizona Bistro. We're outside of Quartzsite, and we woke up to a windy, crisp morning and waited for the sun to warm our tent before we crawled out to make some coffee and hit the trail. More petroglyphs on the trail. They were marked on there, so we just stopped, and you can see them back there. Pretty cool. It's a bit windy today. A little, it's sunny, but it's more chilly almost because of the wind.
It's cool. This is the fourth time we've seen petroglyphs on this trip. They're everywhere. But some are marked. Like this one on the topos was marked, so you can find it that way, but they're pretty old topos, so you just have to look through and it's just in tiny writing. Others we've just stumbled across that weren't marked on anything, so that's kind of neat. You feel like you're discovering it, but
We continued putting along, not sure what we would come across next. We found ourselves in this little wash, which was perfect. It offered a little reprieve from the cold wind. The wash got a little more technical, but nothing old Tonto couldn't handle.
nice work, Tonto. Nice work.
In sections like this, one of us will hop out just to be a second set of eyes, fine-tune line choice, and just make sure there isn't anything the driver might have missed. 2 sets of eyes is better than 1, and with a little teamwork, we made it through this rocky section without any drama. was pretty gnarly for little Tonto. Tim did a great job driving through that. The manual, the rock crawling stuff gets a lot more challenging, but made it look pretty easy. And we'll see what's up ahead. So far, that's been the toughest section of anything that we've driven on this little lower loop. So we'll see.
So I'm trying to pedal dance, but you know.
Pretty dang good for how rough that was.
Yeah, for how herky-jerky Tonto is, and he likes to stall a little bit. He's not super prone to it, but you know, he's older and I probably should clean the carburetor, so when the RPMs get too low, he tends to stall more easily right now than he did maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so he probably needs a little cleaning. And then when we put larger tires on it, we effectively geared him the wrong way, right, for off-road. We made him higher geared, whatever you want to call it. But he does really well. First gear, it's just a little too fast sometimes in the real rock crawly stuff. But in all this, it's great. So I'm in second gear, low range right now, and then gets to a bumpy section, left foot brake, my right foot's on the throttle, just keeping the throttle slightly alive and letting them fight each other a little bit to smooth this out. And then if it gets any more bouncy than that, we go first gear, left foot brake. And then there's just been a couple of spots where you saw us on the side of that little rock thing trying to, you know, do less than a mile an hour, less than a half mile an hour. Gearing doesn't work for that, so then you just gotta do the clutch throttle. And since you can't be on the brake fast enough, that's where it gets really bouncy, herky-jerky. So
How's the power steering?
power steering, it's fantastic. All the power I need right here.
Yeah.
It is funny though, you're just, because it's really a UTV trail that we're on, so it's super tight. And so you're just grabbing wheel, and then back the other way, and then back the other way. And it just looks hilarious, I'm sure, from the outside. Whereas in the UTVs, they have a much smaller steering wheel that has a tighter ratio, meaning a little movement here means more movement at the tires. And so they're just kind of cruising through it, you know, looking like this as they go through, and we're doing like full big turns.
We're getting the full body workout
We are
inside
getting
here.
a full body workout. It's all right, earning one extra beer, you know, each time I have to do a little extra work.
We made it to the Colorado River, right behind me. And it's still fairly sunny. Breeze is a little chilly still. And besides the river, it's not the most beautiful scenery. Dead burned bushes over here. But it's nice to see water. It's nice to see water. camp tonight is right here. I'll show you. Cooking dinner, which is Progresso soups. Tim's having chicken noodle, and I'm having roasted vegetable and lentil. This is how we cook our soup. Mmm.
So fancy.
How's yours?
Really good.
Nice and simple after a long day of driving.
Long day, and then it's pretty damn cold out, so it's really nice just to have hot liquid.
Yeah. So we got a little fire going. And the tent. And it's gonna be an early night, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Because
We're worked.
both tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, gourmet, this is how we camp in Tonto. We make easy meals.
Well, we
And-
did have some pretty complex ones earlier.
Yeah, actually we did, with some steak, and we also have grilled cheese, which we decided not to make tonight with our soup. But yeah, I think we're gonna eat, enjoy a little bit of fire, and then probably pretty early crawl into bed because we're tired and it's cold. So we'll see you tomorrow. Good morning.
Morning 72.
Yeah.
We had a good camp last night, I think.
Yeah, there was finally no wind, so it was
Yeah.
really quiet at night.
Nice and still.
It was actually fairly warm for what it's been. It's not warm for sure, but
Yeah, I mean,
warmer.
it was in the 30s, but with no
Yeah.
wind moving, it wasn't bad. We were
Didn't
both
feel so
coasty
bad.
in our bags and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm always impressed when little Tonto starts up in the morning. I mean, I know that's what he should do, but he's just been getting abused. Like, you can hear, we're going slower now just so it's not as noisy.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's just beating the heck out of him. And then yesterday we went through a bunch of sections that were sort of more, I wouldn't say rock crawling, that's a bit too far, but they kind of were, getting up some
Yeah.
step ups and all that. And he's such a short wheelbase that it doesn't really matter. He's happy to be in two-wheel drive low and just kind of putt up things. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you need four-wheel drive, it's, you know, it takes a ridiculous level of trail to need four-wheel drive in him because,
Yeah.
you know, he's so short wheelbase, the weight's always over the rear tires. So it's not like a long wheelbase truck where you can kind of get the front end up something and then the rear has no weight over it. It's pretty cool. So we're just putting along. Have no idea how far we're gonna get today or where we're gonna end up. Yuma's not far, so we know we'll go through Yuma and get fuel, and then we just don't know beyond that. The trail starts sort of cutting back north towards I-10 where we started. So general, we're gonna head that way, but I mean, yesterday
It's
looking
hard
at the
to
map.
know like how long roads
Totally.
are gonna take if
Totally.
they're really slow or decently fast.
Yeah.
So that's
Yesterday,
hard.
looking at, essentially, we were camped, I don't know, what was that, 10 miles, 15 miles north of Quartzsite.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, we'll probably just buzz through Yuma today. And then it took the whole day and spotting, and so then it was just, you know, you're making less than 1 mile an hour average probably speed.
Yep.
And yeah, we weren't anywhere close to Yuma when we finished. So we're gonna head into town today on the trail and then see how far we get and decide from there where to go. And yeah.
We'll touch base with you later. My arm is gonna fall off.
We weaved our way back towards where we started. For a lot of the day, we found ourselves running along fields and canals.
Time to air up.
Just as the sun is setting, we are hitting pavement and heading back to Goose. Little Tonto did amazingly well, and a lot of pretty stuff to see. So now we're airing up tires and making sure everything looks okay and lights work, and we turned his wreath on, and we'll head home, and then we'll update you, kind of give you our thoughts on the lower loop of the Peace Trail and what we did of the Peace Trail tomorrow, because we're both tired.
And we're back.
Here we are.
So we finished the trip yesterday, and we're driving around in Tonto right now. But
We've showered, which is exciting.
Amazing. Traveling in this truck is just great. You know, the cooler works perfectly. Yes, fridges are nice. I love fridges.
Yes.
Sleeping inside is nice. I love sleeping inside. But man, whatever you've got, just go explore. It was amazing. And then the 2 bags of ice. Literally, the first 2 we bought before we even left Phoenix.
Yeah.
The one was still there. So winter desert camping, although it's a little cold.
With a cooler, it's better.
Yeah, with a cooler, it works great compared to summer, where a cooler gets really annoying. Yeah, and you're having to find a gas station or somewhere to buy ice.
Yeah.
Tonto did so well, like 600 plus miles of off-roading and banging along. Most of it, I would say more than half of it low range. It was that bumpy and rocky, not rock crawling, but just bumpy enough and hilly enough that I wanted low range, 2-wheel drive. But he just does so good. 45-year-old truck, and no issues. We noticed at the end the starter was getting a little tired because, I've noticed this for months now or even years. You click and it just and you need to get the starter, the brushes lined up so it actually starts, and whatever, it's old.
It's really old.
Never leaves us stranded, which was amazing. So other than the starter probably being due for a replacement or a rebuild, nothing. And we just beat the heck out of them. And so many miles this time. And then at the beginning and end, he had to be able to do 65 miles an hour on the highway, which feels insane in this truck, but he can do it. And that's what I love, is he gets right on the freeway and gets it done. And yeah, we had super good meals.
Yeah, my favorite meals, I think, were the ones cooked on the fire, which was awesome. And we followed the trail roughly, but we did kind of see something exciting that we thought was interesting and go off the trail when we saw that kind of stuff, which to me is probably the best part. What feels like adventure, I think, I think both of us, is kind of feeling like, I know we're not the ones discovering anything, but like you feel like you've discovered something, and that's what I love about going out there. So the Peace Trail was really pretty, but my favorite parts, I think, were when we were off of it or discovering something.
Yeah, I think the Peace Trail was the excuse, right?
Yes.
That was I don't know where to go, so we'll just hop onto this GPS track.
Yeah.
And, like, for example, when Kelsey spotted some petroglyphs on a rock, they weren't on the map, they weren't on the GPS track or any of that. It felt amazing. Oh my gosh, we just saw them, and let's go over to them and check them out.
Yeah.
And that was everything I love about off-roading and camping. And then there was another part of the loop where there was petroglyphs marked on the GPS. And I know that it doesn't make maybe perfect sense that those didn't feel as special, but the tracks over to it with a little circular roundabout, you could tell 5 or 10 UTVs or Jeeps every day probably go and look at those petroglyphs. And they were still neat, but somehow it didn't give us that excitement of adventure. Yeah. And so that's kind of the difference between being on like the Arizona Backcountry Discovery Route or any state's backcountry discovery route and just going out on your own. And so, I don't know, I think the routes are good to give you the excuse to go, especially when you don't know an area or a state. But man, our favorite is when you just see a canyon and go, I hope there's a faint little track that goes up that canyon, because that looks pretty. Yeah. And then you turn on a track that clearly people don't use very often, and now it's all yours, kind of. I mean, in your mind, it's yours. You get to see it, and you don't know what's going to be up there. And when it's something cool, it's amazing. And when it's just pretty nature, well, that's still pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so good camps. The tent and all our setup did good. We had the little backpacking tent, which was actually much better than our last big, like, cheapo
If you saw
tent.
the New Mexico episodes where we were
That didn't do so well in the wind.
Yeah, honestly, the little backpacking tent we thought would be less comfortable in some
Yeah.
ways, but it was nice. It was small and like the fabric is really taut, and then you can hide him behind him, the tent behind Tonto, and so the wind wasn't as bad as the big tent either, and it was easier to set up and take down.
Yeah. So just goes to show that you don't need all the fancy gear, and you don't need to be far from home to find something cool to explore. So.
Yeah, so get out there and explore whatever you can. To us, that week trip in Tonto, or however long, 5-6 days, was every bit as exciting and as much of an adventure feeling as our Central South America trip.
Yeah.
I just love getting down roads I've never been down before and wondering, what am I going to find? And then I also do love the mechanical nature of playing with a 4x4 and having
we are
it take us
so
places.
lucky in the Southwest, the amount of public land space we have here. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Thanks for coming along. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us a lot. See you guys next time.